Wasn't there part of the book where they took people that were eating meat and had cancer, they got off of it, and then people that were off of meat got onto it, and you saw what happened when they switched?
Well, that was our own study in the laboratory, not in China. That was done, experimentally.
But you did do that.
We did that.
And what
we
happened?
could turn on cancer by increasing the consumption of animal protein. In this case, it was milk protein, right?
That's important. People think it's just meat. It's dairy is a big part of it.
It is. Dairy, eggs, meat, that sort of thing. So when we gave animal protein, cancer started to grow. We take it away, it cuts it off. You give it back again, it cuts it on. In other words, that was one of the early, I guess you could call it, discoveries that we made way back in the 1970s.
And this is actual scientific testing that
Yes, of course. When you start eating animal protein, it does all kinds of things inside of the cell and inside of the body to start causing disease to form. And all sorts of other things, all kinds of illnesses. And so in the moment you pull that out, eat more plants, make it 100% if possible. Mm-hmm. Don't add a lot of salt and sugar and fat to that, of course. If you do it that way, we can see results in 10 days.
Wow.
15 days, 20 days. It's really, truly amazing.
But you can get your protein from plant sources.
Of course, legumes, obviously a great source of protein, whole grains, and leafy vegetables. Mm-hmm. That's all. Even the plants that have the least protein is really enough. I'm thinking of potatoes. The amount of protein in potatoes pretty well.
Yeah, it's just starch. And
well, there's some protein there.
Yeah, there's a little
but there's enough. There's actually enough protein in the potatoes to me, really. So the whole thing is crazy. What we're learning about nutrition, the whole food, plant-based, it has a very broad effect. What that means is it treats all kinds of illnesses we might get or we have, and it's good for treatment too. If you already have it, eat that, and you can reverse a lot of these things. Anyhow, the nutrition thing is very broad. Compared to the alternative is taking a single chemical. We call them drugs.
Yeah.
If you use drugs to maintain health, that's not going to work because you get side effects and they don't work anyhow very well. And if you keep on eating a bad thing, you're going to take drugs to patch up your problems a little bit. Yeah, in the short run you might see something, but in the long run, no.
Well,
I don't take any drugs. I'm 83. I don't take a drug.
It's just a chemical that has a reaction in your body that hides a symptom. So the doctors basically give you a prescription to hide a symptom. But I always say, well, why don't you stop doing what's causing the problem in the first place?
That's right.
The big thing now is the paleo diet and just be a caveman and eat meat.
That's a ruse. The paleo diet, the low carb diet, they're all the same, just different names.
Atkins.
And really what they're doing, they're claiming that carbohydrates are the problem. That's crazy. Carbohydrates are only produced in plants. So in a way, what they're doing, they're using this argument. Well, avoid carbohydrates. Well, then you have to eat more protein and fat, those kind of foods. That's really what the real motive is, to protect the consumption of animal foods. Mm-hmm. So they make this story up. I mean, sure, some certain kinds of sugars, the simple ones like sugar,
right,
white flour, that's if they went that far, okay, we can agree.
Yeah, right.
But that's not what the issue is.
Right.
You eat all the food. You don't worry about that.
What do you say to these people that say, well, I have a certain body type or blood type? Or
I got that book on the blood type thing, and in the beginning I thought, well, maybe he has something there. I started reading it. I remember I got to page 35. I couldn't stand it because his understanding of science was zilch. So I gave it to one of my postdocs to read it. I said, take a look at this when it came out. He also got about to that far too. He says, I don't want to read that book. I mean, he's basically, in many ways, it's kind of fake science. The only diet really works in totality, that involves all of our health problems, if you will, and it works at all ages. That's important to know too. And it works across different societies. Eating a whole food, plant-based diet will give you the best health for the most number of years, period.